Hello, my name is Alexander Rodalandia. I'm studying the Bachelor in English Teaching as a Foreign Language in the UNAM. This time we will talk about abbreviations. First of all, I want you to take a look to this picture. Can you understand the dialogue? Well, let me give you some clues. BLT stands for bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. ASAP stands for as soon as possible. And PDQ stands for pretty damn quick, which means very quickly. Now it's easier, isn't it? I wanted to show you this example to introduce you to the topic and to show you how useful are abbreviations in our daily life. If we go to the definition, an abbreviation is the shorter form of a word or phrase. For example, the abbreviated form of the word doctor is DR. There are three different methods we can use to abbreviate words: clipping, acronyms, and initialisms. With these three methods, we can obtain new words by shortening the existing lexemes. In the clipping process, we can abbreviate a word to one of its parts. It means that you can have a new word by deleting a part of the word. For example, we can delete the word a part of the word photograph and we will get photo. It's exactly the same with technology. We can delete the last part of this word and you will get tech. In the clipping process, we have to be careful because words can suffer phonological modification if you add vowels or consonants. For instance, in the word bicycle, if you want to clip this word, you will get bike. As you can see in the result, you added some vowels in consonant, and that's why the original one, bicycle, suffered a phonological modification. Clipping is not only used in nouns, you can also do this process in different categories of words. For example, in adjectives like favorite, you will get five. Verbs like prepare, you will get prep. Adverbs like infinitely, you will get inf. Conjunctions like because, you will get cause. Now it's important for us to have more information about this process and to find some differences between clipping and other shortening processes like back formation. If we consider the word corporation and if we clip this word, we will get corp. But if we do the back formation process, which is to delete the last two letters of the word, for example, in the case of sculpture, we will get sculpt. At this point, there's no a big difference between these two processes. However, it's important for us to know that in the clipping process, you always keep the same category of the word. For example, corporation is a noun, and the result, corp, is a noun as well. But in the back formation process, the category can change. For example, sculpture is a noun, but the result, sculpt, is a verb. This is the most important difference between these two processes. Now let's see ellipsis and clipping. We know that clipping is a morphological phenomenon. It means that you just make a small change in the morphological part of the word. For example, the word technology can change to tech. But ellipsis is a textual phenomenon. It means that you have to contextualize the word you get. For example, you use the word capital, but you have to give more information because we don't know if you are talking about capital letter or a capital city. In the blending process, which is another method we can use, you can join two different words. But remember that in this process, you always have to use words that relate to the same kind. For example, lunch and dinner relate to food. So you can join these two words by taking the L from lunch and adding to the word dinner. So at the end, you will get dinner. Now let's see clapping in graphic abbreviations. If we clap the word telephone, we will get phone. But we have to know that graphic abbreviations are a sequence of letters which, when converted to speech, are pronounced as the source words they abbreviate. For example, if we have the word doctor as the beginning, the graphic abbreviation is DR. But if you find the letters DR in a letter or an email, for example, you don't read it as DR. You always say doctor. For example, Mr. The graphic abbreviation is MR, but you don't read MR. You say Mr. as well. Remember that there are some Latin words like etc. that also you can find them in some texts. For example, etc. As I told you, you will find at the end of text etc, but you don't read it as etc. You will say etc. It's important also for us to know that there are some hybrids like INC for incorporated or JAN for genre. This means that you can read the graphic abbreviation as the short form or an extended form like INC, or you can say it in the extended form like incorporated. Okay? So now that we have understood these different methods, it's important for us to know the classification and structure of clippings. Remember that clippings are classified according to which part of the base is deleted. In this chart, we have different classifications. The first one is back clipping. In the back clipping, what we do is to delete the back part of the word. For example, in photograph, we remove the last part, which is graph, then we get photo. App is the back clipping for application, and lab is the back clipping for laboratory. The for clipping is the opposite of the back clipping. It means that you don't delete the last part but the front part of the word. So we get bot as the for clipping for rabbit, cause for because, and copter for helicopter. Edge clipping is a bit different from the previous ones, because in the edge clipping, what you do is to remove the extremities of the word. For instance, in the word pajamas, you will remove the P and the Y at the beginning, the A and the S at the end, and you will keep the middle. So the edge clipping for that word is yams, and van for advantage. The mid clipping is the opposite of the edge clipping. It means that at this point, you are not removing the extremities, but you are keeping them. For example, the word anorexia, you have to keep the A and the N at the beginning, the A at the end, so the mid clipping for this word is ana. In Broadway, we will say that is B-way. In addition, there are some suffixed clipping. That means that the end of the word could change. For example, Barbie is the suffix clipping for barbecue, swimmers for swimming shorts, and garbo for garbage. Now that we have seen these different this classification of clippings, we have to know that this process can also be used in names. Have you heard the short form Abe for Abraham, or maybe Mike for Michael? Well, these are the clip names. We have some other examples like Bob for Robert or Tom for Thomas. Now let's see the second method and the third one to abbreviate words. These methods are acronyms and initialisms. We have to know that these methods, we can use them to obtain words from the initial letters of the words in a phrase, title, or lists. For example, frequent asked questions. If we take the first letter of every single word, we will have F for frequent, A from asked, and Q for questions. So we can say FAQ. It's exactly the same with VIP. VIP stands for very important person. To identify the differences between acronyms and initialisms, we have to know these two different concepts: letter sounding and letter recitation. In the letter sounding process, let's see acquired immune deficiency syndrome. In this phrase or in this name, we can take out the first letter of every single word as an acronym. A for acquired, I for immune, D for deficiency, and S for syndrome. But As this is an acronym, we have to read it as a simple word. So we can say AIDS. We don't say AIDS. I'm sorry, AIDS. We just say that word as a single one. So you said AIDS. But in letter recitation, let's take this example. British Broadcasting Corporation. You can take the B from British, the B for broadcasting, and C from corporation. But as this is an initialism, you have to read it as a single letter. So you have to say B, B, C. So we can say that acronyms are letter sounding and initialisms are letter recitations. Okay? So these two can be divided in different types based on the alphabetisms of the English language. For example, the first type is non-elliptic alphabetisms. In this, the initials of all words of a source phrase are retained. For example, not in my bag. Yeah, if you take out the first letter from every single word, you will have nin. Remember that the initialism must be read as a single letter, so you have to say GMO for genetically modified organism. Another type is elliptic alphabetism. In this, only some of the initials of the word or the words of a source phrase are retained. It means that you can use the content words to make the acronym or to make the initialism. In alphabetism with vowel addition, you can add some vowels to the word. Okay, so we can have HAMB, which stands for High Mobility Multipurpose Wheeled Vehicle. There is another type, which is alphabetism with symbols. It means that you can add some symbols, prepositions, numerals to the initialism. So, for example, we have A3, which stands for anytime, any place, anywhere. So, as you can see, we add a number to the initialism. Another one is the extended alphabetism. In this one, more than one initial is retained from each word of a source phrase. For example, we have the acronym NOTAL. In this acronym, we are taking the words no, tail, rotor. As you can see, from the word tail, we took not only the initial of the word, but also the second letter. And the last ones we have are recursive alphabetism. In this, we can use a word from the phrase to create the acronym, like cave from automatic virtual environment. There is another one that is inverted letter alphabetism. In this one, the order of some letters is changed, just to make an acronym easier for people to understand it. There is another type which is semantically irrelevant acrostic. In this one, the formation intentionally corresponds to a homophone word. It means that without any intention, the person can create a word like WHO for the initialism World Health Organization. And there is the opposite, which is semantically relevant acrostic. In this process, a person creates a word intentionally to make the acronym. For example, HOPE stands for Health Opportunity for People Everywhere. Okay, that's all. In this slide, you will find the references from this presentation. Goodbye.